Hey you guys, welcome back to another how to prune peach trees video. Today we're going to prune this 4-year-old peach tree standing right next to me, and it sure took off from last year and it's gotten really big and bushy, and we're going to give it a haircut and show you how to go through. One of the things I like to try to do in my videos as I was learning to prune peach trees was to really try to figure out the step-by-step and how we're thinking about each area of the branch. And so that's what I'm going to try to do as I go through, is share the different thoughts I'm having as I prune it, so you can get a good idea of how to structure it and how to prune. So the tools we're going to be using today to do this 4-year-old peach tree is just a simple handsaw for some of the bigger limbs and the ones I can't get with my hand anyway. And we'll just use our handy dandy hand pruner here, made by Corona, my favorite pruner ever. And we've got it all sharpened up, and we've got it all oiled up and ready to rock and roll. And this one's ready to go. And we also have our dumpster here for throwing away our branches after. And some of those branches are pretty big, but we'll trim them up and make them fit into the dumpster as we go here. So this tree probably is going to take maybe a half hour to 40 minutes for me to go through it as I'm talking about it. So just be aware this video is going to be a little bit longer, but that's what it takes to figure out how to do a little bit bigger tree. So I hope you enjoy it. So before I start cutting anything on this tree, and we'll do that in just a minute, but I'll just tell you a little bit about this tree. We got it from a nursery down the street, and I believe the tree was already a year old when we got it. So this actually might be a 5-year-old tree, but since we've had it and transplanted it into the ground, it's been 4 years. So I call this a 4-year tree for us. And so one of the things about this tree, because we did the 3-year tree video, we're looking at it a little bit differently now because it's pretty big. And I think from how much it grew last year, that the roots probably have finally taken hold really well. And it has a lot of power and energy that it's sucking out of the ground now on its root system. So because of that, it's probably going to grow a lot from here now. From 4 years on, it'll get big every year and it'll have a lot of power. And because it has a lot of power now, it also can start producing peaches for us pretty good. So before we start pruning, we're understanding that we're still focusing on structure and making sure we're building that structure correctly so that it looks something like our 7-year-old peach tree over there that we'll prune a little bit later. So we want to keep building that structure out to the size that we want it. And we also can get some peaches off this thing this year. So we want to be thoughtful of that. Okay, you guys, let's get started now. So the first thing I want to do as I'm coming in here getting ready to cut is I want to identify some of the easy cuts first so that we can lessen what's going on here. And so the first thing I'm looking for is my structure, my basic structure. And right now, it looks like I have 4 branches that have been established. And that's really great. And we see the 1, 2, 3, 4 going out that way. And again, some trees, it doesn't happen that way. The tree kind of puts power into 3 of them. Or sometimes we have 5 of them. But always we're shooting for 4. And 4 seems to be what we have with this tree. So let's get started here. Here's an easy one right here for me. And I'm going to get this one out of the way because it keeps poking me in the face as I'm trying to look at this thing. So I'm going to take that one off. And the reason I'm taking this one off is because it's kind of pointed down into this region. And eventually it's just going to drop and hang and crack off. And it's not going to have good invigoration for fluid flow for the sap of the tree. So we got rid of that one. And we're going to be going with this Y shape right here off this scaffolding. So we're going to kind of start with this scaffolding, and we'll do this 25% of the tree. Although it looks like some of that bigger scaffolding back there has 50% of the tree on it. So really maybe this isn't 25%. Maybe it's only 15. But we'll do this one first. So let's take a look at it now. We have that Y splitting there. That's good. And about 16, 18 inches up, we have another Y kind of splitting here into this quadrant. So I like this one and I like this one for splitting that Y. So I'm going to go with those. I'm going to cut everything else out of there right now. Okay, and we'll clean it up. And remember, it's easy to take the ones that are pointed down and pointing straight back up into the tree so that we kind of get that feathered look. And so what we have here now, that I did a few of those, let's take that one off the back. Let's take that one off the back spine. Let's take this one out real quick too, and I'll tell you why. This one has that Y in there, and as this thing grows, it's going to try to be a big stem in this Y joint, and we don't need a big trunk growing in the middle of our two trunks. So that one's gone. I'm going to take that off. Okay, let's deal with this branch right now. So we have up here some of these coming out into a head again. I'm going to take the one out of the middle because I want this Y shape. I want these things to bowl out. And I'm going to take this one off that's coming straight up. And I'm going to head those two off right there. And there's that one. And I'm going to do kind of the same thing with this other Y position up here. So I think I'll take it. And you can kind of see which way the branches are going to grow out by looking at the buds here. That one will grow out that way. That one will generally grow out that way. So I like them to grow out the way I want them. I like where this one's growing. And I think I like where this one's kind of taking me. But those might be a little close. Maybe I'll choose this one. Maybe I have a little more space there. So I'll choose that one to grow out. And I'm going to take this one off in between. And that one too. And then I'm going to head those off again. So they'll start focusing on their leaves and their peaches instead of growing so long. Okay, so we got these two ones here. Now we have some stuff back in here that we can decide to keep. And because we can produce peaches this year, we can keep some of them temporarily if we want. So the one I'm going to keep is, I think I'll keep this guy right here. He's pretty strong and he has some good spacing. And so I think I'll keep him for a year. I'll head him off at about 18 inches right there. So he'll produce his leaves and his peaches right there. And then this guy's a little too scrawny for me. So one of the things is I could choose to keep these if I was really wanting a lot of peach. But remember, the peaches are growing on these too. You see those buds and they have the leaves in the middle. So remember, it's only a 4-year tree. So I'm trying to get it up to scale. I'm trying to get this tree up to size. So for me, I want a lot of energy put into the structure right now, and I want it to fill out its structure. So for me, I'm going to get rid of these two because I don't need the peaches so badly yet. I want this tree to really ramp up before it starts giving me box loads of peaches, you know. So here's this one. We kept that one there. This one here, you could keep if you wanted for a year. You could keep that one. It'll give you some peach. This one, let's go over to this Y. So we went up this one and we did these. Let's go up this one and follow this one up now. So again, down here, we have this guy hanging off right here, just like on the other side. I think I'll head him off at 18 inches too and keep him. But while I'm there, I got this branch rubbing against him, and I think I'm just going to cut this branch right out of here. It's just going to interfere with stuff in the middle. So there goes that one. Okay, so here we are up here. So an easy decision would be to cut out this piece of deadwood up here in the middle. But let's decide which ones are going to do our Y shape before we cut anything. So I like this one. I know I like that one because it's going out in the right direction here off this quadrant of the tree. And I kind of like this one too. And I kind of like that one too. But I think I'm going to go with this one right here. And I'm going to head it off up here at about 18 inches. And I'm going to cut that dead piece out of the middle. And I'm going to keep this one out here too. And I'm going to head that one off. And everything else kind of I'm going to get rid of now that I don't want. Okay. There's that one. Let's head that one off. that one can give us some good peaches this year. And that way we're leaving 3, and they're all spread out pretty good. You see how they have some nice spacing so they can do their thing? And that's what we need. And see how this one is jutting into that? I'm going to take that little thing away, and I'm going to take this one back here. Because one of the things we're trying to help the peach tree to do is to focus on what it needs to do, because peach tree really has a bad habit. If you look at the whole tree there, it's just got limbs growing everywhere. And it probably has 10,000 peaches in flowers right now. But we're trying to cut that down a little bit and help organize the tree. So that's what we're doing here. So we got this one and that one and that one. And this one could stay too if we want peaches. We could get some production off that little guy. So we'll leave that one for this year. So that does it for this scaffolding arm. We just went through this one. So now we're ready to move on to this one over here. Okay, you guys, we're going to start on this section of the tree now. And the first thing, again, I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of take a general look at it and say, hey, where's all the scaffolding headed? What are we trying to, how much are we letting the tree build out this way off this one? How much room are these other ones filling out here? And it kind of gives us a general idea of what we're going to try to help this one do. So we have these 2 big ones here that form a Y. We have this one right here that kind of is doing something else that's right in the middle of it. So I'm going to take that one out first, and that will help simplify our life real fast. With the saw, real careful there. And I have to be real careful because I just want to cut the wood. I don't want to mar up all the and mac up all the bark right there. I don't want to hurt the tree any more than I have to. After all, the tree has to heal after this. Okay, now that this piece is gone, we have these 2 big pieces remaining headed up into the Y shape. So those 2 are great. We're going to keep those. And at about 18 inches up off those, you'll notice we have another Y that we kind of pruned last year, got it started. And we want to go with those. So let's work on that. Let's come up here, and we have this Y established. And we have one up in here. So now this branch is very kind of straight up. It's almost wanting to head back to the center of the tree, but we don't want it to quite do that. So this branch that's way back here that is headed back to the center of the tree, I'm going to take that one off first, because I know I don't want that one. And again, it's kind of a process of elimination. And once you eliminate the things you know for sure you don't want, it makes it a lot easier to know the things that you do want. I guess that's like life in some ways. Okay. So now we're looking at this again. So I like this thing here headed up that way. And this thing in the back of it right here, if you look at it, I don't really like that thing, so I'm going to cut it off on the back. And that leaves this thing here. And this branch here is kind of headed above this other scaffolding, but there's a pretty good space between them, almost 18 inches. So I think I'm okay to leave that for this year, as long as we have a decent spacing and things can have their own sunlight and their own breathability for keeping things dry. And you know, that's one thing here in Utah is we are pretty dry out here, and we usually don't have too much trouble, like say maybe in Texas or Georgia where there's a lot of humidity. And so that's not something we have to worry about as much, but certainly if you're in areas where you got more humidity, you're looking for spacing in the tree. And we're going to do that here on this too. We're going to come through and space all these limbs as we trim them. All right, I'm going to take it off right there because I like this thing headed out in the curl up, and I like this one down here for spacing. So this comes off right there, and now we have a good spacing and we have development for structure into the future. Okay, this one that's headed straight up, I'm not such a big fan of that because we already have this going on up here, and over on this other branch we have these things going on over here. Well, it's almost like it's too crowded in here. It's too many people in the party, so we got to take him off. Okay, and we'll just trim up some of that little deadwood there, and I'll just head that thing off for peach. So now we kind of have this bowl developed up here. And I'm going to trim this one off because it's kind of hanging below this bowl like that. So that one goes away. So I've kind of developed this miniature satellite or miniature bowl off this scaffolding right here. And you know, you don't hear this very much, but that's kind of what the goal here is to give miniature clutches and bowls and satellites within the big satellite. So it's like the big satellite, then the next layer of bowls and the next layer. And it gives the tree a lot of strength so that when all that weight of all those hundreds of pounds of peaches are on it, the limbs don't start snapping. Okay, let's keep going on this one. And we'll take this one off the back that's headed straight to the center. And those are the easy ones. And I think we'll take the one that's headed straight out here. And we'll take that one too. And these ones off the back. There we go. So one of the things when you're cutting these, you notice I left a little bit extra on there. It's nice to try to cut these limbs as close to the trunk as you can, like this one, so that the tree has an easy time healing over with its scab. And it closes up the tree quickly. And that's good. It doesn't allow disease and cold air and sickness and bugs and everything else to affect it. Okay, I like this one here for this year, going that way, because we have good spacing in here, and he can do that. This one coming out front is not as good because it's kind of rubbing against this thing. So we got rid of that one. Okay, so we got that one. And now let's look at what else we got here. Some of these little wimpy ones I'm going to get rid of because they can't hold any weight anyway. Okay, so we got a few branches to select left. And we have this thing over here to consider too, remember. So here's some ones that I'm going to take off this other limb that just cleaned it up a little bit. It helps me see this limb a little bit better. And sometimes you can do that. Clean up the limb a little bit over there. It helps come back to this one, take a break from it if you have any questions about which one to keep. And usually when you come back in a few minutes, you see it clearly again. And that's just the way it goes, because it's kind of like when you're looking at those 1,000-piece puzzles you do. You just take a break for a minute because you're so used to seeing too much all at once, you know. So I took that one off. So we had a good one here coming, a good one there coming, and there's too close to this Y right here, so I don't think I'm going to have anything right in here. I'm just going to clean that area out. And this thing is too wimpy anyway. I'm just going to get rid of it. So that's what we have left on this particular Y joint off that scaffolding. And we've kind of planned for the future up here and helped develop the scaffolding into a secondary and tertiary Y and built a bowl up in here. All right, we got the other half of this section. So let's do the easy ones. This one's pointing down, that's easy. And this one's coming straight out. That one too. Here's one that's coming straight out. Okay, those were easy enough. All right, let's take a look at this thing. Look at this little thing. I'm going to get that little thing out of there. That was easy. And those ones are kind of fun because those are easy to see. All right, now we have this one kind of coming out here. And we have a Y, a little bowl developing here, and something developing here. And we have kind of a funny joint right there. I don't like that joint because it's not going to be very strong into the future. So what should I do with this area? Well, I think I'm going to keep this one for sure, this big strong guy. So up here, I'm going to head him off and prepare these branches, which ones I'm going to keep for the future bowl that develops up into here. So I think I'll cut them right there. I'll head that one. I'll head that one. I'll cut that one off, and I'll cut the one on the back. So we're left with two that develop out this way. And of course, you got to think about the future. And even though these don't look very big right now, they'll grow a lot this year, and they'll explode with more growth coming out into these areas. So that's why we're doing it like that. So now here's this branch coming underneath. I think I like that one for this year. I'm going to keep two little things on it for a leaf. And I'm going to cut this off the back, some easy ones, just some easy ones here. And then this one that's underneath, I think I'm going to get rid of. I don't need them. And I don't need this one either. And this one here, I could keep, or that's one of those ones where you're like, I could keep it or I could get rid of it. But then I look over here and I say, well, look, we got branches developing in here anyway. What do I need this one in here? Because if I take these two, it's already plenty crowded. I don't need that one. So for me, for structural reasons, I'm going to take that out. Okay, let's come back over to here. We're almost done with this one. We'll take off the easy ones that are hanging below. Some of the ones on the back that are poking up. Okay, we got this out here. So we got two big horns coming out here. I think I'm going to go with those. I'm going to cut it right there. I'm going to keep that, head that off. And I'm going to cut that one off the back. So we got a bowl that's going to develop off this arm right here. Okay, let's cut this thing out of here. It's just crowded in there. We don't need that extra crowding. And let's cut this guy off. Now this one right here, he's a pretty strong branch and he has good spacing from the other stuff. So I think I'm going to keep him for peach production. I'm going to head him off right there. I'm going to leave about 14 inches of him right there. Okay, we're almost done with this one. So we got 3 here going on. And we kind of got 2 that are coming out of a split joint here. So I think something's going to have to go. And I think this one that's coming lower is going to go. I think I'm going to go with this one that has these better horns poking up. I'm going to cut the middle out of that one, cut the back off there. Again, I'm going to top those off so they can start doing growth. And I'm going to get rid of this one right here. Okay, you get rid of those. And then we got this one off the back. We'll just get rid of him. And then we got this little guy left that's poking up this way. I think that we will keep him for now. But I can see in the future as this guy gets big up into here and this guy goes out this way, this guy probably will go away eventually. But for this year, I think I'll just keep him and let him give us some extra. Oh, that one broke off. That's okay though, because even though that one just broke off, there's still leaves and peaches that are growing on this part right here. So we'll just leave that. And maybe we'll head this one off and we'll leave that little one for them. And then last thing on this scaffolding branch is this guy down here. Now you could leave this guy. He's got some spacing. He could be productive for you for this year if you really wanted to get the peaches quickly out of him. And if I was to do that, I'd probably head it about right there and about right there and just let that grow right there like it is. But because I'm not so worried about that, I'm trying to get the structure established, I'm going to cut it right off. And so that completes this section of the tree. Okay, you guys, we just completed about half the tree, 2 of the scaffoldings, and we just went and took a little water break because I'm talking a lot. And this is kind of what it looks like at this stage. And we're just about ready to get started now on scaffolding number 3. So looking at scaffolding number 3 over here, I should have a Y coming off this thing, but instead I got 3 of them. So the first thing I'm going to do, and out of the 3, these 2 are coming out to form the bowl. This one's kind of just poking straight up into the middle of the tree. And remember, we're trying to kind of open up the center of the tree for sunlight, for air, for all those wonderful things that make the tree more healthy and the peaches taste better. So we're going to take out this guy right here. Now he's kind of big, so I'm going to grab my saw and I'm going to carefully saw him as close as I can so that he can heal fast. And maybe I'll just go straight through on there. Well, I'm sure glad that's not my finger right there getting sawed. All right, so we just got rid of that one. Now we're ready to work on these 2 guys and decide what we're going to do. So I think I'll work on this guy first since I'm standing over here. And the first thing that stands out to me right now is this Y shape right here that we started on last year. And there's this thing that grew off the top that's doing this weird stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this thing off the top and let these two branches form our next Y. All right, I'm going to do some easy ones off the back. And some little tiny ones that we don't want. Ones that stand straight down again. And ones that kind of poke straight back up. And some ones that maybe are too clustered next to the, see how close they are? So if those get bigger, they start squeezing each other. We don't like that either. So anything that you're trying to space it out and you're trying to take stuff that isn't going to be good for your future of your tree. Got that one. So now if you look straight on at it, you're kind of seeing that feathered look again coming off here with your scaffolding as well. So I'm going to complete this one right here. I'm going to head them right there. I got two horns poking out, and I'm going to let those and head them off right there. Now you don't have to head them. I just headed those, but they're kind of small, and maybe I should not have. It's okay to let them grow out longer if you think you want some more length on those. So those ones I could have left and said, no, I want those to grow a little bit longer to make my next scaffoldings. I could have left those where they're not headed, but I did, so whatever. And those are choices you can make. So here we have a little stick, and the tree is trying to heal. You can see all this stuff right here, but it can't get around that stick. So let me get rid of that for it. And now it can finally heal properly right there. All right, we're going to do the same thing to this big branch. Of course, we know we like that one because it's nice and strong. And we're going to head it right there. And we're going to leave that one. And I like this one. And this one's pretty long, so I'm going to head it. And that one too. The one off the back I don't want. The one right off the front I don't want this time. And we can leave some space if we want. I think I'll leave this guy just for some extra leaf on him. I'm going to take this guy away for spacing because we don't need to get crowded. The tree has already does all the crowding you could ever want, you know. All right, so we got this and this. Now this one probably isn't going to be too useful into the future because it's going to compete with this other branch. See how they're coming at a sharp angle and wedged out of the same growth there? Well, that's true. So that probably long term is not a very good branch. We would cut it. But if you said, well, hey, I need some extra peaches this year, you could just head it right there and leave that one, and it'll produce some extra peach for you. So I think that's what I'm going to do with that one for this year. And I'm going to cut this one off so it doesn't crowd that one. And so I'm going to leave that one. And now I have one more kind of poking off the back. I'm going to get rid of him. But now I have 8 inches, 10 inches between these and those ones. I like that. I'm going to head that, and I'm leaving these two. And now this one's going away. And now there's about another 8 inches between there. I'm going to leave that one for peach. So that's kind of the spacing we're talking about that the tree limbs need to put on the big peaches, because you have to think about how big the peach gets. It gets that big, and the limb starts hanging, and so it fills in the space, and that's why you need the spacing, is you have to kind of picture what the future is going to be. Okay, so that completes this scaffolding on this one. And let me see this one real quick. I guess we headed that off. Let me cut that one. Yeah, that's okay right there. So let's come to this one now. Okay, let's do the easy stuff. We'll come up the bottom, cut stuff that's pointing straight down or close to it. Never perfect. They're never pointing exactly straight down. But you got to kind of think about the clock. If 6 o'clock is exactly straight down, maybe 7 and 5 o'clock is kind of straight down too. You know, that's kind of how it goes. Okay, off the back now. Let's take those ones that pop off the back. Here's one that's straight down off the front. Okay. All right, so let's look at the top of this one now that we kind of took off the easy stuff. And I see this one coming out nice, and I see this one curling up nice. And you could even say, well, these two up here look pretty good too, but they're kind of a little bit too sharp of an angle for me because I'm trying to get the tree to grow out this way too, because we're trying to fill out a big circle here, a big satellite dish. So I think I'm going to go with these horns that are kind of tending to curl up and out. So I'm going to cut that off right there, and there they are. We left them, and that's how we top that. And let's take this guy off back here. You see how he's growing up really close like that, parallel to the branch? That doesn't do good for us. And let's see what else we got. This guy here has got good spacing. He's at a nice lateral angle. I think I'll just head him and keep him for leaf and peach. And this guy's kind of coming out the wrong way, so I'm going to get rid of him. And we got some others in here growing. This guy ain't too bad. I have to choose one of these. And we can't have all three because they're all too close together, but we can choose one. And I think I'll choose the one in the middle. Or if I wanted to take the one out of the middle, I could keep the two. But I like the one in the middle. And I think I'll keep this guy here too. And I'll make sure to head these two off. These guys go away because they're pointing too far down. And these ones are at a nice angle and they give me some stuff. Okay, come over here. So we have this one. Now we're going to walk down that limb and take a counting of everything. I don't like these little guys. They're not too useful to me. But this branch has some good stuff going on. But it's also running into this big branch over here. So we're going to have a little bit of a battle. The trees battling each other to decide what space it wants for what. So we got to help it decide there. What are we going to decide? Well, maybe we'll save that one for later. But I think we will save this one. And these ones back here, I'm going to take that out, and I'll just keep this little guy down here for now. So that completes almost, except for this thing that we'll decide after we work on this one, this third section of scaffolding. Okay, so we're on to the last big mama here, the biggest scaffolding that the tree has decided to put all of its energy into. And we have kind of three here in this Y, and I'm not in love with that because you'll notice that if you look at this and this and this and this, really crowded in here. And so it's not going to do too well. So I think we might do something a little bit drastic, and it might look like we're going to put a big hole in the tree, but these branches here and here are very strong. And if we take this one away, that's what I was thinking, taking that one away, then these ones are certainly going to fill that area pretty quick. It won't be long. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to make a big decision, and we're going to take that one away first. Big decision here for the health and future of the tree. Sorry, tree. Sure glad this ain't my arm being sawed off. But you'll heal fast. These trees are a lot tougher than we are, I think. Alright, so now we have a big limb here, and I'll cut that one up later and put it in the dumpster. So now look at it. It's already looks like it's more organized just by doing that. Well, that makes our life a lot easier to make those big decisions first, just from taking a general look at it, and we make that big decision, and it makes our pruning go a lot faster because now we're not trying to prune this thing and trying to figure out all that stuff. And now we're able to just go through and knock this out and knock that out, and that's what we'll do next. If I don't hit my mic here. There we go. All right, let's take off some easy ones. Look, I got this weird one hanging under here. So that one goes. And I'm going to start on this guy over here now. And I'm going to take those easy ones off that are hanging low. all those ones that are hanging funny. And looks like I got most of those. We have a Y that starts here, and then we have other stuff. So let me get some of these that are pointed straight up now. Come look at these ones. These are pointed straight up, so we want to knock those out. And this one's dead. I'll take that one off. And this one's tiny and in the way. And there's a tiny one and another tiny one we don't need. All right, got a good start on that. And so we'll decide those after here. But let's kind of decide what's going to happen with this Y up here and how that's going to develop into the future. So it's getting tall, so that's good. So the Y was here. We want to work with what we got up here. And I'm thinking that we should pick one of these to go out on that region, and we should pick some of these to go out on that region. So if that's the case, then I'm going to cut that right there. And now I have these two to pick from. And I think I'm liking this one right here. So I'm going to cut it right there. And I think I'm liking this one right here because this one's kind of going into this other branch over here. So I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm going to pick this one and head that off. And here's one off the back I'm going to get rid of. So there we go. We got our new bowl that's going to form up into there. And we have a branch here that's a nice spacing down from here. We can save for peach production, so we'll do that. And this branch is pretty good too for a little bit of peach production. Head that one off and keep it about 14 inches. Let's get rid of this one that's hanging low. And let's just not go down any further here yet. Let's come back up to this one real quick and see what we're going to do with that, and then we'll come back down and finish that. So this one's big and powerful here, and this one is pretty good curl and big and powerful there. So that's the ones I like. So I'm going to head that off there, trim the rest of this stuff away. Now there's nothing going out into this region of the tree right now because we just cut that big section out, right? It's a big hole. So maybe I'll leave this one and just see what it does for the year to help fill in a little leaf there. I'm sure that this one and some of these others will fill into there soon, but I think we'll leave that one to help fill that hole for the year. All right, this thing is a big noodle here, so we're going to cut that off. And we'll leave this guy. I like him for the year for some peach. And we're going to cut this little duker out of here. He's too small. But we got some choices here we can make with what we want to leave here. So these ones are kind of straight up. So I'm going to take them down. I'm going to leave this one and head it. And I'm going to leave this one and head it. And that'll give us some extra peach and leaf on that for the year. Now, if you remember, just a few minutes ago, we left this branch right here because we didn't know what we were going to keep yet. Well, we decided to keep this one. And so now that kind of tells us what's going to go on there. So, with that being the case, I think what we'll do is we'll keep this for 1 year. And that'll probably go away eventually anyway because the tree will get so big and crowded in here. I think I'll head this one off. And I'm going to keep that right there so that I have good space. And this has some space to do something right there. Okay, so we just got that area done. So we got one more little area off the main scaffolding right there. But before we do that, you know, one of the things that helps speed me up when I do the trees is to have my collection system close by for the trash. You'll notice here that as I was doing that one, I kind of got into the tree and I forgot about it, and I just dropped all the sticks on the ground. And that's okay. You know, we do that in the commercial world where we just got to get through and prune it, and we drop everything on the ground, and then we come back and clean it up later. And it seems to be a very commercially efficient way to do it. But if you're a homeowner and you only got one tree, you could do it any which way you want. You can take your time and take each handful to the trash and enjoy your time out in your peach orchard. Okay, with that being said, let's finish off this last thing over here. I'm going to come to this side. And we got this big guy going up here. And we got some funny stuff going on over here. So in this Y section that it should be, we have 3 branches coming out of it. And we got to decide what we want to keep. Now, sometimes the tree can help you decide that, because sometimes the branches will start looking weak and wimpy on something, and maybe the other branches will look stronger, and usually we'll go after the stuff that the tree has already chosen to make stronger. But that doesn't always happen. In this case, they both look pretty strong, and they both look pretty vigorous, but I'm going to have to pick one. And I think I'm going to take the one out of the center and get rid of it. And often that's what ends up happening, is the one that is in the center usually gets squeezed. So, all right, so now that we chose this one, let's fix this one up and finish him off. So we'll keep this little horn up top and cut off that little head piece I had. And I'll keep this one here. And I'll head this one, and I'll head that one. And this one, even though it's wimpy, this thing's kind of funny. You see this one? It's trying to come out of the top of the branch. That's the type of stuff that's got to go, because we want that branch to focus on this thing. And this one needs to be headed. We're going to keep him, and we're going to keep him. So we get that Y shape again. And that's pretty good right there for there. So now that just leaves the big branch. The big branch, the biggest branch on the tree that's left. And the hard part about this branch is we're right along the edge of the property on the fence. So it's going to be a little bit hard for me to get in here to get it. But I'm going to try to look at it. And maybe that's a consideration too. As you're pruning, you could say, well, hey, maybe I don't want the branch growing over the barbed wire fence because I can't take care of it good. So then that's a structural decision. You say, hey, maybe I don't want the tree growing out there too far. Maybe I'll cut it back a little bit. So let me think about that. And if I did that, where would I help to make that grow so it kind of comes up here instead of over out into the road? Well, what I'm looking for is a good place to make a new Y, where I can cut this branch and a new Y will form. And I got some good stuff here, some good stuff here. I got some good Y shapes going on. So let me do that. And I think I'm going to take and keep this one. And I think I'm going to try to go for this one right here. And I'm going to cut this big thing that's going out into the road. If I can get it. There it goes. I got it. Now I'm going to take this one that's underneath and get rid of it. And this one I decided to keep. I'm going to head it off right there. And this one's too close to that one, so I'm going to get rid of it. And this one's pointing straight up, so I'm going to get rid of it. And this one is our other kind of Y that we're trying to develop. And this one is the one I want to keep. This one's going too low. So let me get rid of this little duker right there. And then we'll get rid of that one and we'll top that one off right there. Okay. Okay, so on this one, we kind of formed this new Y we want to develop. And we have some other stuff that is already here that we got to get rid of or reorganize. And so this branch right here is really strong and it wants to do something, but it's kind of got a low hang to it, and I think we're going to have to forego it and get rid of it. And we'll just cut that one off. And this one's poking kind of straight up. I think we'll get rid of him. And this few little guys here. Okay, we're almost done here. Just a few more cuts left. And this one's really straight up too. But it might be useful for peach production. Let's take a look at what we got left. So we kind of got this feather pattern. If you come look here of what we have left, I think I'm going to take out some of these ones. Let's decide. Now I know these ones are kind of straight up, but they're a little bit in better position strength-wise than these ones that are kind of on the, see how it's the tree's already going like an S shape. So I think that's not going to work for us. And this one's kind of trying to do that too. So take off that little thing. So now I've narrowed it down just a little bit more, and I got my two up there. I got a good spacing on that one, and these ones are kind of close, but I think I'm going to go with this one over here. Head that off and get rid of that one. I got that one and that one. And then for this one, hard to see it kind of, but I think what I'll do is I'm going to head this one off and I'm going to head that one off, and I'm going to keep those for some peach this year, and hopefully they do their job, and that kind of gives us our feather. Okay, you guys, we just got done the last scaffolding branch and got it finished, and that completes our 4-year peach pruning video. And it looks a lot different now probably than it did when we first started. So, you know, there's always a few more things we can do to tweak it, things we may decide later we don't like or we do like. And that's kind of the fun of it all, is that we can help shape the tree the way we want it to go. And we really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. I know it's a little bit longer, but this was a pretty big tree, and I have to say I'm tired now. And we really appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next video.